not off to a good start today. I don't know what's happening. I'm going to start my period, but I really want to get control of my emotions because I'm feeling fucking insane. I'm feeling very angry. I'm just no idea what is happening inside my body. But welcome to the Mom Existence, where we are going to talk about some real shit today. Because I've really been struggling. I have been struggling the last few days. I've been putting a lot of pressure on myself to build this brand and build this podcast and build something for myself and create something by myself for myself. And I think that's what's hard. And it's really, 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 really hard for women because we have so much other shit on our plate. We have so many influences in society telling us to do this, be this, look this way, act this way, blah, 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 blah. And earlier, I legitimately had a full-on bawling attack and like crying. I did video it. I'm not sure how real and raw and honest I want to get, but I might share. I was watching a video, a couple interviews of Alex Cooper's, who is the queen of podcast and Unwell, and the Call Her Daddy podcast, which I love. And I wasn't watching any of her Call Her Daddy interviews. I was watching her Forbes interview. I think there was a Summit something. I don't even know what that one's called. Never seen him before, like more serious vibes, and a few other ones. And I just love hearing her interviews and her rise kind of to fame and what she's built. And that's what I want to learn from. I want to learn from her, how she did it, what she tried or didn't try. So I go deep diving into YouTube while I'm getting ready. I had a bath and I was listening to this interview in particular. After I got out, I was doing my hair, doing my makeup. You wouldn't know it because I gave up and I'm a lazy shit today. I just don't care. It's raining. I let my hair dry naturally and I put this hat on. Don't care. I just wanted to get in here and start talking. So I somehow end up on one of someone's YouTube short, which if you're new and you don't know what that is, it's basically like a TikTok platform within. So it was some guy doing a stitch talking about her and her deal with Sirius. And as the algorithm on YouTube and just in general just takes you from one thing to another. So I end up swiping up and it's this little girl. I'm not going to cry thinking about it, but this is what sent me into recording today and kind of the state of the union. It was this little girl who I believe from the comments, which I read a few after, was in the US somewhere. And she was ringing someone's doorbell, which was a ring cam. So that has video and can call the number it's connected to. So usually, I don't know, the person that lives there. And it called this neighbor. She must have been biking or scootering. She had a helmet on and she was upset. She wasn't crying, but she said, are you home? I want to come in some form. I need to find this little girl also and just like give her a hug. And she said, there's a bobcat. Like, can I please come in? She was so sweet and innocent and like lovey. Oh, she was adorable. And the neighbor, thank fucking God, said, I'm only a minute away. Stay there. And she's saying basically like she can't get back to her mom. I don't know if they were in a very like suburb area that she didn't want to bike back down the road and, see the bobcat. So she's just asking to come in. The other little girl, who I'm assuming is the lady's daughter, also begins talking and the mom saying, just stay on the phone with her. Just say, we'll be home in 1 minute. We're by the park. We'll be right there. And just the fear in the little girl's voice and innocence in oh my God. I literally don't think I could ever watch it again. She said, like, where's my mommy? I want my mommy. Can you please call my mommy? And the lady's doing like the best job in reassuring her, like, as soon as I get there and we're all inside safe, we will call your mommy. I'm going to call your mommy. And the video ends. So I went in the comments quickly. And again, when you swipe just like TikTok, it takes you to something else. So I don't know how to get back to. I need to maybe deep dive and find out what happened. But I'm assuming they got there relatively quickly. And at one point, she says, I love my mommy. And for some reason, I'm very emotional. This is what motherhood does to you, okay? No one tells you or prepares you for the roller coaster. But my son is 2 and he goes to daycare like whenever we need it, like which is quite often, quite a few days a week. And he loves it. He is well taken care of. It's a safe environment. He loves the teachers there, going outside, his friends. We have lots of friends that we know well. Their kids are there. Some are in his class. And I really struggled with him taking that leap around 18. I think he was closer to 19 months when he started there. I struggled with that in the beginning so hard. It was hard. The guilt, the immense guilt I felt. You hear it all the time, mom guilt. And it's worse. I wish I could erase mom guilt from the planet. I wish I never experienced it, but it's like a privilege, obviously. Like we know that. I don't need to say that. But it is so hard to get triggered like that. And you hear this sweet little girl and like the neighbor, everyone just wants to protect innocent little children. And to hear that I love you. And I just had not the best start to the day. Not for any particular reason. The last few days have just been struggling and waiting to get my period. I sometimes can suffer from having very emotional highs and lows. Yes, I'm working on it and I need vitamins and supplements, all the things. My son, it's not that he didn't want to go today. He just was being a bit funny and being a bit slow and difficult, as 2-year-olds are. Okay, that's what toddlers do. He never once said to me like, Mommy, I don't want to go, and cried or anything like that. But he was just being a bit difficult to go and dragging his feet. I know he was a bit tired because he went to bed late. Anyway, it was just one of those days where I felt bad and guilty about being a mom and being a creator and trying to build this brand and build my podcast and know that this is what I love to do. I love to learn. I love to talk to people. I love to be on camera. I love holding this microphone. I love sharing things like this that are raw and real because it's fucking hard being a parent. It's so hard. My dad is going to kill me for swearing. He hates swearing. Anyways, he's probably not watching, so whatever. But I am trying to connect with who I am and where I want to go and remember that I do have ambition and I do have desires and a light within me. But it does not make it any easier to deal with how hard it is to be a parent. And the emotional roller coaster is, I was not prepared for this like whiplash. Like it can send you can be so stressed and so anxious and not loving the moment and just wanting to throw everything and scream at the top of your lungs. But then there are little voices saying like, Mommy, bed, lay down, and you're rubbing their back. And then you start to leave, because this has been happening to me lately. You start to leave and then he's crying as soon as you touch the door, like, Mommy. And like, I'm laying there, for example, last night, and oh my God, I just want to get out of here because I'm tired. Like I'm drained and I'm uncomfortable laying on this floor. I just like, I have shit to do. I want to go edit. Like it's so hard because there's so much pull. There's so much pull in so many directions. And as a women, we do so much and it's confusing. And of course I want to lay there with him. Of course I want him to feel loved and comforted. Of course I want that. I want nothing more. That is my goal, is to make him feel safe and loved. But it's really a hard balance. I didn't have my son until I was 35 years old. So I've lived 35 years of my entire life independently. I got married at a young age, but we are both self-sufficient independently. I do not have to care for another human being in this capacity. I do not have to wake up, care for them, especially in the newborn days, all day. Like their life relies on you until they go to bed. And now it's the same thing in the morning. It's like you live 35 years of your life waking up, going to the gym, going for a walk, sitting on the couch, drinking coffee, meeting friends for brunch, like traveling, like whatever it looks like for you. You've done that for X amount of years. You've gone to bed when you want it. You've watched TV when you want it. You've socialized, worked out, like all these things you don't even have to think about. And when that baby comes, it is shocking. It is completely shocking for me. And I think a lot of people are. I saw recently pregnancy announcements and things like that. And these people may have other children and they're having more. And I'm thinking like, everything on Instagram looks so picture perfect. Everything looks so curated and lovely. And I'm sure it's not. And it's not like these people aren't intentionally doing that. It's just what we're used to. And of course, with this podcast and my platform, I follow so many different accounts, like fashion mom accounts, doctor ones, playful ones that people are just making fun of their husbands and dancing with their kids, all these types of content. And you do see ones that people are struggling, women are struggling, they're showing the mental load, they're showing that they're still struggling with depression after having their children. And those remind you of some of the things you may have experienced, but it still doesn't make it feel more consistent and more real, because I'll tell you, in the beginning, I struggled so hard. I was so lucky. I connected with my son. I kissed his little head and told him all these things and promised things to him. And I love him so much. We do not need to reiterate that. I love him. And in the beginning, I was just so shocked at the worry I had, the inability to leave the house or do normal things without that worry. And of course, it is very normal for people to experience postpartum depression and different disorders and baby blues, which I've only recently learned that if you're experiencing lows or certain thoughts past, I think it's like the first month, 3 or 4 weeks, then it's probably more than just the baby blues. And that definitely happened for me. I was just in a constant state of worry, which is probably some form of anxiety, which I definitely have. I'm just constantly worrying about everything. And it's a spider web of one thing. And then I'm trying to troubleshoot or plan for different scenarios, which is a waste of time. And it's stressful because half of the time it doesn't even matter. And in the early days when that happens and your brain cells are literally nothing, it's hard to understand much, I'm telling you. And not that I was resentful. I have an equal partner. He is amazing. He does so much. I do not need to coach him. Women, we do, but I don't need to. He can figure it out. Certainly there are things that were put on me in the early days, not intentionally, but just as women, we take on trying to, well, I did IVF. So that's like a whole different story and reasoning why it's a unique situation. Not getting into that right now, but as women, you're usually taking on the scheduling of sex or whatever it is, because you know your body and you have to start tracking, like all these things start to add up from day one of trying to conceive or conceiving, and you're taking the supplements or you're booking the appointments, et cetera, et cetera. So we really do take a lot on from the get-go in motherhood. And, like my son got ready for daycare today. My husband picked out his clothes, put them on the bed, got his snowsuit packed, his boots, all the shit that you need for daycare, his teddy, his water. Like I didn't do any of that. He knows, and we are a team. That's why you marry someone that's an equal person, is going to pull their weight. And he got that all ready. I got Cash dressed and out the door. My husband drives him on his way to work because I work from home. And these are just things that we systematically do. He knows, of course, like who bought the snowsuit or the boots. I did, and whatever, like I'm happy to, but there are a lot of things that we take on as mothers that are just hard. And also I struggle with that day-to-day emotional highs and lows, or the emotional roller coaster. My husband doesn't. I'm sure there's times, and especially in the beginning, it was probably hard for him. It was just he and I focused on him, and now there's this kind of like, where does he fit? That's probably a whole nother discussion. And I don't think Jeff ever said that or didn't articulate, or he was just more understanding of what was happening. But it is a transformation for the woman. It takes 2 to 3 years to become a mother, to feel like it's part of your identity and who you are. It doesn't just happen. You don't just become a mom and get that title and it's like intrinsically in you. It doesn't. It takes time, and it takes longer for some than others. And it could be like a more radical thought that like it's not for everyone even after it happens. I don't know. But we have been shown images or examples time after time and decades of this, of what motherhood is, okay? And it is painfully wrong. Sure, there is a lot of love, there's a lot of caring, like all these things. The mother does take on a lot in the beginning, especially if they're breastfeeding and the husband has to go back to work. Like we do have to take on more. Like we just do. It's not for everyone, but I'm generalizing here. I'm allowed, like come at me, whatever. But I found, I'm 37 now, and I've always struggled with finding my voice, which is like, haha, Ashley, like you have a podcast, no problem. This is good for me. But I've always struggled with finding my voice. I've always struggled with being wrong, and I've always struggled with doubt. I talk about this with my husband, and I can remember countless times growing up, being whether in like high school, junior high, into university, not wanting to raise my hand or comment on something or give my take on something, if it was a book or just a general answer. And I always wondered, even in work, like the work I do in tech and in friendships, speaking my opinion, having a hard time just saying something because I was always scared to be wrong. And I thought if people speak up and say something or have an answer, which some people do, there are little smarty shits in the class that always has the right answer, but not everyone has the formula or the right answer or the right like message to share. It's just something within them and they feel the need to share it or think that they have the right answer, whatever it is. But I really struggled with that. And I really do struggle with it still. I have a hard time like tapping into what's happening in here and articulating it because I'm scared of being wrong. I think it comes down to like everything, our childhood and our upbringing. I wasn't the best student. I didn't have like any learning disabilities when I was young, not that I know of, but I feel like my parents were concerned because my brother was so smart and I was like not getting math. Like it was mostly math, for example. So I had tutors and this and that. And I feel like that is probably good. Like we all need those extra things to get us through. But it was like, maybe like we're not teaching this properly. Sometimes when I look at it now, like maybe it's not for everyone. And you know what? Now it's a disservice to me because I've just shut down. I've thought I'm not good. I'm not smart. I don't want to be wrong. Being wrong sucks and it's embarrassing. Anyway, flash forward to now, having a podcast, I still have a hard time with interviewing or talking. This is easier for me today because I'm a little heated up, but sometimes I have a hard time, like I freeze or I'm worried that, oh, that was a bad question, or I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have asked that, whatever it is. So much self-doubt. And I get in my head and like I probably need to continue going to therapy and get through this. But where this is bringing me is that I have my parents, my mom just turned 70, my dad is 69. So they're of a different generation, obviously. And I feel sometimes like even with my platform and my podcast that I can't be real, raw, and authentic because I don't want to upset them. I don't want to talk too much about like sex or swear or do whatever because it's wrong or taboo. And that just is me kind of getting in my own head, and also a generational thing that we need to break. And there are so many young girls who are on TikTok, who are on Snapchat, who are on Facebook, who are on Instagram that probably shouldn't be, but they're there. And how do we then shape what being a woman and a mother looks like to them? Like, what does that look like? What do they think about that and that journey? Because if they decide to start a family one day or find themselves pregnant, like what is their interpretation going to be? Because they're growing up in a different generation. Their parents probably both work, or maybe their mom's an influencer, maybe their mom's a doctor, maybe their mom works at the soap, like whatever it is, they're getting fed all this stuff online. And how do I be helpful to shape what their future can look like? Because it doesn't have to just be I'm staying at home and taking care of my children like our parents did or our moms did. And I see all these ideas and all these opportunities in the world. Like, how do I become a mom and still be the best-selling author, or still be a broadcaster on TV, or be a teacher, or be a violinist, like whatever it is, a doctor? It's like, I want to help them remember that you can exist as both, but it's really hard. It is really, really hard. And the hardest thing is getting through your mental blocks, like I've always dealt with and struggled with. I saw a video. I started following this guy recently. I saw another one with his daughter. He's setting up the camera, having a chat with her. And the first time it was like, leave mommy alone. She's resting. Like, leave her alone. And the little girl's like, I want to go see her. I want to go see her. And he's like, mommy just needs some time. Love you. Love his messaging. And he seems like he has such a great relationship with his daughter and how he explains stuff. And this one was like, who do you think, I'm paraphrasing, does more work, mommy or daddy? And the little girl replies with daddy. And he said, like, why? Tell me why. And she said, because mommy's a lady. And like, we're talking, this is 2025. And that young girls still have this perception that daddy works harder, daddy does more, and mommy does not. And that is what really hit home with me, is like, society is still looking at women like this. And now young girls are so much more exposed to so many things that how are they supposed to see people rising and doing things and creating incredible shit online? And then the confusion with like, mommies don't work hard, or mommy doesn't work as hard as daddy, and maybe think, oh, mommy stays at home and like that's easier. I don't know. It's so confusing and it really pisses me off. And I was definitely raised in a household that it was very traditional. Dad went to work. Daddy didn't have to, I don't call him daddy, but my dad didn't have to do the dishes or do any household chores. He definitely was like the garage guy, like plowing the driveway, mowing the lawn. He did his share, but it was just different. And my mom, I can remember my dad saying like, you should help your mom clean up the dishes. And I was like, well, tell my brother to help her clean up the dishes. I don't want to. Like, that has just been part of who I am, and I don't fall into that role, and I don't identify with that, and I still don't. Like, my husband is amazing. He is like, laundry, dishes, I just don't want to do that. Like, why should I do it? And I think that I've got a little chip on my shoulder, but we need to start changing the narrative and continuing these sorts of conversations so that the future generations can be like, she's a mom, she loves her family, she's got it together, she's breaking down, because that's what I do, that's what we do. But she's also like building a business and she's creating things, and she doesn't have to, fall into certain molds, though it is hard. It is really, really, really hard. Those molds have been created, and those molds are deep, and those molds are easy to fall into. And when someone's already done something and created something for us and made this like blueprint, it seems like the easier route, just like a job. That is the easier route sometimes to go. Just do that. It's safe. It's easy. And like, I don't want to do that. I've never wanted to do that. I've never known what I wanted to do. And I think because I didn't know, oh my God, my hair is freaking driving me nuts. Because what I wanted to do didn't exist yet. Podcasting in whatever form at that time, like, it didn't exist yet. Social media didn't exist the way it does. YouTube, I don't know what year these things, early 2000s, I forget. These things were not in my vision. These weren't part of my identity. I never knew. I was trying to always like draw stuff, create stuff, but like it was never clear. I do remember always wanting to interview or like be on TV. I can remember, I wish my mom still had it, but she definitely got rid of it. in her bedroom, she had this, it was hideous. It was hideous. She would say it was hideous, but this floral, ugly, let's just say it was ugly. This rosy kind of floral pattern on this chair, and it just sat against the wall between her linen closet makeup area and their walk-in closet. And it just sat there, like she probably just threw clothes on it. And I remember sitting there and playing and putting it. My mom had fabulous shoes, so I loved being in her closet. And I would bring this little chair in, put it in front of her floor length mirror, shut the door. And I remember like just like talking to myself. And my mom's aunt, who was my great aunt and very much like a grandmother to me, she used to joke and be like, you should be on television. You look like, she would have the news on as old people do and would be watching TV and be like, you're just as pretty. Like, you should be on television. And like deep in my soul, in my heart, I was like, I would like to be. I don't know how to do that. I'm a small girl from a small town. Like, whatever. Like, you're so sweet. This is so nice. Flattered. And here I am trying to spread the message and build something for myself. But I just want to talk about more of the journey in doing that. That is hard. And that's what this podcast is about, that you need to remember you have to exist with yourself. You have to remember that you can exist in different forms other than just motherhood. Though that is our number one and we love that, we need to share it more equally with other desires and wants that we want. And we need to support women and continue this message that it is okay to send your child to daycare. It is okay to get help. It is okay to drop them off at the grandparents. It is okay to be sleep deprived and do it all yourself with no help because you don't have the opportunity. And there's so many shapes and forms of it that it's not like we stay at home or we go back to work in a corporate world and drop our kid off at daycare and pick them up. Like, that is not for everyone. The daycare system's actually so messed up in that form because we don't all work 9-to-5 jobs. We don't need childcare just during the week. We may need it in the evenings or on the weekends. We do work, just not corporately 9-to-5 jobs, men or women. Okay. Like, we don't. Who even came up with this system? It's so stupid. But there's a lot to do. There's a lot of work to be done. But I just want to continue the message around remembering who you are and why you're here and how you need to show up and exist for yourself and being a mom. Something else more recently that has been weighing on me, I know it's a very normal thing and a conversation I've seen other creators or like mom influencers talk about, is that roommate phase after you have your child. So we're just over 2 years, and right now, I would say we're like struggling, not in like an unhealthy way, but in a normal way to figure out what's happening right now in this state. Like, at night, I want to jump on my computer or record or edit or like watch reality TV. I want to do nothing. I want to freaking rot in my bed. And he wants to do the same. He wants to watch hockey. He wants to catch up on a show, like whatever. So we kind of go our separate ways because that is the only time you get, like, newsflash, when Cash is at daycare, sure, I'm going to the gym, doing groceries, but I'm like mostly here working and doing things. I'm not just twiddling my thumbs. It's not time to yourself when you're not turned off. And we need to get better at like booking in dates and spending quality time together, because it seems we have, but it's in group settings or events, couples going out to dinner, which I love, but how do we remember just to connect one-on-one? And it's literally been me lately just having like mental breakdowns because I'm just emotionally drained. I'm hormonal. I'm, like, our sex life is kind of just nothing, like not nothing, but it's like not exciting. It's nothing special. And I think this is totally normal. And, I don't know, maybe it's other people after they've had their child and they're waiting to have another one, and then they like dive back into like the fun of trying to create another human. And that could be exciting, though it's stressful. I get it. I've never had that experience because that's not what happened for me, right? We did the IVF route. So like that's a whole nother stress that we need to add and guilt trip that I'll put myself on because I have to leave my son and go and do this. And anyways, it is just not It's never ending. It is never ending. And I just don't know how to get through the day sometimes. I seriously do not know how to get through the day. It is freaking hard. But I'm here for you. I am here to listen. We are getting through this. Life is not easy. We are constantly evolving and transforming as women, as mothers. And I want to keep the conversation going. And I just want to keep talking about things that are going on in my life, because I'm certain that if I'm having these feelings or these experiences and thoughts, that I am not alone and that there are other people. And I think there is so much power and beauty in connecting and sharing experiences, whether they're difficult. And like I said earlier, I'm going to try and reach back within my soul and take down some of those barriers that I put up to express what I'm feeling and thinking and experiencing, and not trying to just have this persona of who Ashley is and who I think that I should be, because we know that women have been told to kind of be gentle, especially as mothers, be kind, don't be too loud, like, like let the other people do that. Like, no, like that's not, you're a mom now. Someone recently said, I will not call them out, but this very much pissed me off. Recently said to me about like a situation or something I did or said. Like, I'm just not going to be too, I'm not going to say it too closely, that I'm a mom now, like in one respect or another, that I shouldn't act or speak like that because I'm a mom and like that's not my style. And I'm like, you know what? You don't know what my style is. My style has been suppressed. Who I am, I feel like I've tried to be someone or do something and act a certain way. And like, I just want to be me. I just want to be real. I can change day to day. Like today I had this like trucker style hat on. Didn't want to do my hair. I have my jeans, my hoodie. Like tomorrow I might have a top knot and look totally glam, and then I'm ready to go to the courtroom. Like, I don't know. And that is the beauty of being a human and a woman, is we can have these different versions of ourselves and wake up one day and want to be this or do this. And that is the beauty. You need to follow that lead on what you know and how you feel inside. But for anyone in society to tell you, because you're a mom or just in general, that you need to act or do or be a certain way, is not true. We need to be who we are and what we're feeling in the moment, and that is allowed to change, and you are allowed to be who you are. So just keep showing up as who you are and what you want to do and who you want to be. I'm here to uplift you and support all the mamas out there doing incredible things. If you want to stay at home, you want to go back to school, you want to start a new job, I don't know what it is or who I'm even talking to, but like, you can do it. We are here, and it is hard. And just remember that you are doing amazing.